All right, so live now. Basically, what's going on is I got me, CJ, and Hunter. I feel like I know the most about basketball. I do the most research. CJ is like in the middle when you say like he does some research, but he's like normal. Like he just like goes off a little bit of that. I'm obsessive. And then we have Hunter. Watch a lot of college basketball. He's an
Dark
Alabama fan.
horse.
And so basically,
Right.
we all made conference tournament brackets, and we're just gonna run through them now and like give our picks and stuff. And then at the end, we're gonna re-show. We're gonna do another stream where we like show how we did and see who won. And then for the actual NCAA tournament, we're gonna do one of these two, but it's gonna be different. So we're gonna
Cool.
start with the ACC tournament, which actually has already had a game played, but I guess we'll start with the game that already played, which was Boston College and Georgia Tech. So I picked Georgia Tech and they lost. Who'd you guys pick?
I picked BC.
Went out for BC.
All right, so so far not doing too well. I picked Georgia Tech and that was wrong. Actually, the scoring for this, it's the first round's 1 point, the second round's 2 points, 3 points, and then so on and so forth. And that's how we're scoring it. Okay, next game, which is actually playing right now, it's Notre Dame versus Pitt. I picked Notre Dame. Um, who'd you
I
guys
picked
pick?
Notre Dame as well.
I also have Notre Dame.
All right, so we all went Notre Dame. Even though Notre Dame's a 10 seed, they had like their best player out for most of the season. He's back, so I picked them to go pretty far. And then rounding out the first round, they played tonight Syracuse and Wake Forest.
I have Syracuse, the Fighting
I have
Irish.
Syracuse as well.
And so do I. Okay, so our only difference was the Boston College game. I got that wrong. All right, second round, we have Florida State versus Louisville. I picked Louisville to win that one.
I picked Louis as well. Oh, I spelled Louisville wrong in this paper.
Okay, and then Clemson versus NC State. I picked NC State, actually, the upset, the 5 seed over the 4 seed. Who'd you pick, Hunter?
I ooh, I picked NC State over 4 seed.
All right, cool. Now we have number 2 Duke versus number 10 Notre Dame. Who do you have for that Duke Notre Dame game?
I have Notre Dame beating Duke.
So do I, actually. And Notre Dame needs that game to have any chance of making the NCAA tournament. But yeah, I have Notre Dame beating Duke too. And then Miami versus North Carolina. That was actually the game that was crazy because North Carolina hit the shot to tie it, and then Miami hit the shot at the buzzer to win it. So Miami won the last time they played, but I picked UNC for this one.
I picked UNC to beat them this time.
All right.
I'm back.
Okay. We went through the quarterfinals. So
Yeah,
you
I was listening. I just had Louisville beating FSU, NC State, Notre Dame upsets Virginia Tech, and North Carolina beat Syracuse.
Okay. And then okay, so now we got Virginia and Louisville. I have Virginia winning that one.
Yeah,
I have
Virginia should have
Virginia
no
as well.
problem.
Yeah, exactly. Their defense is really good, but their offense is like better this year, which is better than usual. So I think they're a better team than they have been in years past. And then Clemson, NC State. I picked NC State.
I also picked NC State.
Yep.
I picked NC State.
All right. And then Duke, Notre Dame. I picked Notre Dame. I think Hunter picked.
I picked Notre Dame to upset.
I'm the only one with Duke, really.
Oh, you went Duke. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah. I just figured like Notre Dame, they have to win to make the NCAA tournament. They're motivated. Duke's already in it. So I just kind of went with the long shot upset. And then Miami, UNC. I picked UNC.
I also got UNC.
I picked UNC.
All right. And so now we are in the semifinals. Virginia versus NC State. I honestly think Virginia will kill NC State.
Yep, me too.
Me too. That's why
It's like not only is Virginia one of the best teams in this conference, they have like the easiest road to get there. I think.
Mhm.
And then Notre Dame versus North Carolina. I picked North Carolina. Who'd
I
you
picked
guys
North
have in the
Carolina.
matchup? Hunter had Notre Dame, right? In North Carolina.
Yeah, I had
Mine's
Notre
Duke,
Dame. North Carolina.
UNC rematch.
And then you have who winning that?
Duke.
Duke. Okay. And then so for your championship, I have UVA versus North Carolina, and North Carolina winning it.
Same.
All right.
Got
I
North
have Duke,
Carolina
Virginia.
winning.
Duke wins it.
Okay. Duke winning it. Gotcha. So we just kind of switched. Okay. Now we're gonna move into the SEC tournament.
Ooh,
The
my
SEC
home,
is a
my home
thick
state.
tournament.
Right
There's a lot of games.
there.
All right, so we'll start with Georgia Vanderbilt. I think Georgia gets the win over Vandy.
Same.
Nope. I'm gonna pick against my Bulldogs. I'll go
Ooh.
Vandy.
Dang, picking against his own team. Honestly, I don't know. I haven't watched a single Georgia game. I haven't watched a single Vanderbilt game.
Neither do I.
I've watched a lot of Alabama basketball though, so that should
Oh,
be pretty.
gotcha. Okay, and then South Carolina versus Ole Miss. I picked South Carolina.
Yeah,
I
South
picked
Carolina.
South Carolina as well.
They're considerably worse than last year, but
They're not Ole Miss.
they're better than Ole Miss. I don't really know. The SEC is. I'm not very familiar with it.
There's a lot of like top team rivalry or top team just smashing the bottom seed, so it's just that. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Okay, gotcha.
Notre Dame just widened the lead to double
But
digits.
rivalries are always the best games to watch, though, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, Notre Dame is up 31-18 right now, so they're dominating Pitt, which I figured they would.
Mhm.
All right, so now we're moving into Alabama versus Texas A&M. I had Alabama winning that one.
I had Bama winning. Sexton's gonna have a
I have
monster
A&M.
game.
Yeah, Colin Sexton's a beast. You got Bama, or do you have A&M?
No, I got A&M.
Okay, changing it up. All right, so after that we have Georgia and Missouri.
I have Mizzou winning.
Georgia. You have Mizzou?
I
Yeah,
have
I have
Mizzou
Mizzou
over
winning.
Vandy.
Okay. Have you watched Missouri, like when Alabama played Missouri, Hunter?
Yes, their defense is solid, but their offense is kind of like it's kind of sketchy a little bit. They're still
Okay.
they're a little bit shaky, but I think they'll come out and play.
Okay. Gotcha. I had never seen Missouri play, so I kind of just picked Georgia because again, desperation. Got to win a couple to make the tournament. So
Mhm.
LSU versus Mississippi State, and I actually have seen Mississippi State played, and like I was impressed. So I have them over LSU.
I have Mississippi State over
I have
LSU as well.
LSU.
Ooh, okay. So our
That's
SEC bracket is very different.
it is.
Um, and then we have
South Carolina and Arkansas.
South Carolina, Arkansas. Yeah, I have Arkansas beating South Carolina.
I have South Carolina beating
I
Arkansas.
got the Pigs.
Okay, we all went Arkansas.
No,
All right.
I went South Carolina.
Oh, you went South Carolina. Okay, gotcha. My bad. Then there's Alabama, Auburn. I have Alabama winning this one too.
I actually have Auburn winning this game because they've beat us twice in the regular season by
Okay.
a pretty good amount. So
Uh-huh.
I have Auburn winning just to save my bracket.
I debated in giving A&M the win over Auburn, but I just couldn't. You got to give Auburn one game.
Yeah. See, I had a real tough time picking Bama over Auburn. Basically, I don't know. You never know how like the third time meeting is going to go because you have a team like Penn State with Ohio. Penn State won all three times, but then you have like Purdue, Michigan, where Michigan was able to get the win even though we lost both times earlier.
Mhm.
I mean, it just depends.
It's just
The thing
oh,
for me is like Colin Sexton is a playmaker, and like him in the tournament is just scary to me. I feel like he's going to play his best basketball during the tournament.
yeah, but Auburn's a more solid defense.
Yeah, it's definitely an upset pick.
Mhm.
Auburn's the better team on paper. Okay, and so now we have the next round. For me, it's Georgia versus Kentucky, and I have Kentucky beating Georgia. The road will end.
For me, I have Mizzou and Kentucky, and I have Kentucky beating Mizzou.
Yep, same. Kentucky over Mizzou.
Okay, so we all got Kentucky. Now I have Mississippi State playing Tennessee, and then beating the number 2 seed Tennessee. Any rhyme or reason? I know I don't have a reason for that at all. I just felt it.
I have Tennessee beating Mississippi State.
Okay.
God, I wanted to pick LSU over Tennessee so bad. I couldn't do it though. I feel like Tennessee will get one. They're like Auburn. They'll get their one game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I mean Tennessee's actually a pretty solid team. I don't know. I just want the upset just because, basically. Like, I have no reasoning for it. And then I have Arkansas versus Florida. I have Florida beating Arkansas, and I
I
feel like
have
it's close.
Yeah, I have South Carolina, Florida, and I actually have South Carolina upsetting Florida.
Oh, okay. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised they did so well in the tournament last year that
Yeah,
their coach.
Florida didn't do that good in the tournament, so
Yeah, that's another thing.
And I have Florida over Arkansas as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, Florida's been all over the place this season. They've had some games where they look like they can be an Elite Eight team, and then some games where they look like trash. So very inconsistent. All right, so in my semifinals, I have Alabama versus Kentucky, which I think this is gonna be a super fun matchup. These two teams. I hope this happens because it'd be a really fun game to watch. But I have Kentucky beating Alabama, ending their little run.
I have Auburn and Kentucky, and I have Kentucky beating Auburn. I just have Auburn winning that one game.
Okay, and then same with you, CJ.
Yeah, when Kentucky, the thing about Kentucky, I feel, is while they struggled in the regular season a little bit, they were definitely not as good as the last couple of years. I feel like come tournament time, when they need to win, they'll pull it out.
Yeah, that was kind of my thought process too. It was like I just trust them in the tournament and trust their coach. So now we have the other semifinals. I have Mississippi State versus Florida in mine, and then I have Florida beating Mississippi State.
Well, I have Tennessee and South Carolina, and I have Tennessee winning, ending South Carolina's little 2-game run or 3-game run.
Yeah, and then I get the Gators over the Vols.
Okay, so for the championship, I have Kentucky, Florida, and then Kentucky beating Florida.
I have Kentucky, Tennessee, and I have Tennessee winning it all.
Oh, okay. And have you seen Tennessee play a bunch? Or?
Exact
opposite
of you, Matt.
Not really, but it's just I feel like they'll come out, ball out, and play, and Tennessee or Kentucky will they'll think that they're high seed and like just be overwhelmed by their offense. I think.
Gotcha. And then what'd you say? The opposite of me?
Yep, exact opposite. I got Florida over Kentucky.
Florida beating Kentucky. Okay. I think it just depends on what Florida team shows up because I think Florida definitely has the ability to win the whole thing.
Florida schooled them twice in the regular season. It was bad.
Yeah. All right. So the American Athletic Conference.
Hold on, Matt. Before we start, my dad called me real quick. So.
All right. Yeah, that's fine. We'll wait for you. I guess we can talk about the Big Ten bracket while we're waiting. So basically,
my disaster of a Big Ten bracket.
me and CJ decided to do the brackets for the Big Ten. The Big Ten was a week early, if you guys didn't know. They played in the Madison Square Garden, but CJ ended up letting his friend Jordan pick the bracket. What is there a reasoning behind this? Or?
It's like most people say. Usually, the less you know, the better you do.
Exactly. I'm a firm believer in this. Like these people who just randomly pick, they usually do really well. So like when I heard that, I was a little nervous right off the bat. So I'm like, oh snap, she doesn't know a lot, but she could like definitely get me and then beat me. And then we put a little bet on it that if she did beat me in my bracket, I had to buy her food. So now my money's on the line. I was sweating. I'm not lying. I was sweating. I was worried. I was pretty convinced that I was just gonna get embarrassed. But I ended up absolutely destroying her.
Oh, it was not even close.
Yeah, so I got to save some money, which is good. And then that happened, but like, what would you have changed? Like, what were your thoughts before Jordan messed up?
Let's see. I have it in here somewhere. Well, I definitely would have had Wisconsin probably beating Michigan State. As dumb as that sounds.
They almost did. Honestly, the refs in that game were ridiculous.
And really? I would have had Penn State over Ohio State. I called that one.
You did, and I was the one who said Ohio's going to win that, and then yeah, they dropped the ball.
I had Michigan over Nebraska, so 3 out of my final 4 would have been right.
Dang. Okay, so you probably, I don't know. It would have been close because I ended up doing it with my dad and my sister. And my sister had predicted that Rutgers was gonna win 2 games, beat Indiana and beat. Did they play first round? Maryland?
Minnesota.
Minnesota. Yeah, she predicted both of those right, and I was like, oh my god, she's gonna have a perfect bracket. But good news for us, she came in last place. My dad, who was sucking, came in second, and then or came in first, and then I came in second. I choked it at the end because we did the +1 around, and he got his championship right and all that.
Yeah, I did not pick Rutgers to win a single game, so that would have hurt me.
Yeah, I had him for the first one. I predicted that right, but I thought there was actually a 0% chance that they beat Indiana, but somehow pulled it out. I was actually really impressed with that.
And then my championship game would have been just like yours with Purdue beating Michigan. That's probably what I would have.
Yeah, and then I had Purdue beating Michigan. Actually, I really, really wanted to until last second. Nebraska to beat Michigan, so they ended up winning it all.
So. And I'm back.
All right, cool. That's actually perfect timing. So now we're moving on to the American Athletic Conference. The first matchup is UConn versus SMU. I have SMU winning that. I know they're not as good as years past, but I think they'll make work of UConn. But then you can never count UConn out because they make crazy runs all the time. So
I actually have UConn winning that. So
you have who winning that?
I have UConn winning because I think UConn will hit a last-minute shot to win.
Exactly. Yeah, UConn's full of stuff like that.
Full of surprises.
Yeah, I also picked UConn. I mean, I love SMU, but I just couldn't go with
them. Yeah, that was a tough one for me. I feel like whoever wins that game was kind of screwed against Cincinnati anyway.
They'll get smoked.
I wasn't really stressed about that one too much, but I did think about it a little bit. It wasn't easy. And then we have Memphis USF. I went Memphis purely for higher seeding. I'll be honest, I haven't watched either of these teams play this season.
I went Memphis because higher seeding.
Yeah, there was no reasoning behind it. It's like I've never seen either of these teams play basketball.
Yeah, exactly. That was a common occurrence while picking in this bracket. I don't watch a whole lot of American athletic basketball.
Yeah.
Now we have Temple Tulane. I have watched Temple play one game, so because of that, I picked Temple.
I picked Temple because of just higher seeding. Is like I've seen highlights of them play.
Okay.
But not good enough
to watching highlights on Temple.
Huh?
You gotta have something else better to do with your day.
He said he was questioning you watching Temple highlights.
Because they've played I can't remember what team they played that I watched.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then
I went with Tulane just purely because their mascot looks cooler. They're like the tidal waves. They're pretty cool.
All right.
Pure mascot pick.
Gotcha. Yeah, honestly, I feel like this is gonna be a pretty straightforward 1 and 2 seed tournament.
Oh, yeah.
But some of these other games, it was just purely random for me. I watch a lot of basketball, but not American athletic. So now we have UCF versus East Carolina, and I have UCF winning that one.
I have UCF as well.
No reason, just higher seed, basically.
Yeah.
All right, so now we have Cincinnati versus SMU in mine, and I have Cincinnati winning that one. Pretty handy.
I have Cincinnati and UConn. I have Cincinnati winning because Cincinnati's just they're just gonna absolutely obliterate who they played in this game, so it really didn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like Cincinnati's just gonna run through this tournament until they have to play Wichita State. Not much.
I also have Cincinnati over UConn.
I mean, it would have to be a crazy upset for anyone to beat them. Okay, and then we have Tulsa, Memphis for me, and then I have Memphis beating Tulsa.
Same.
All right.
Just for one, pick Tulsa. I pretty much went 1, 4, 2, and 3 in this whole bracket.
Okay, so who'd you pick? My bad.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah. Out of Tulsa. Okay, you have Tulsa. Okay. And then there's Wichita State Temple. I think Wichita State wins by a considerable amount.
Yep. Give it to the corn people.
Yeah, exactly. And then Houston, I have UCF. And then I have UCF beating Houston in the upset. Why? No reason, just cause. I mean, I don't know.
You gotta have that one upset.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually have Houston winning that game.
All right.
I have them winning by like 10.
Okay.
Yeah, I also got Houston.
All right. And then I have Cincinnati versus Memphis. I think Cincinnati wins comfortably again and gets to the championship game.
Mm-hmm.
You guys?
Same. Cincinnati wins by 20. Easy.
Yeah.
Yes,
All right.
Cincinnati
And then the other one is Wichita State, and then I have UCF, and then I have Wichita State winning that one by a lot.
I have Wichita and Houston. I have Wichita winning that.
Yeah, the corn people are gonna kick ass.
More people. Okay, so we all have the same championship, Cincinnati, Wichita State. I feel like this is going to be an epic rematch. They just played recently, and it was a really close game. I'm excited to see them play again. That's actually one of my most, I really want to see these two teams play again. Because I wasn't high on Cincinnati through most of the year, and I'd watch their highlights, and they wouldn't, I wasn't sold. But, I don't know, the last couple games, they've really convinced me that they're a legit contender this year. So for that reason, I have Cincinnati over Wichita State.
I have Cincinnati as well over Wichita.
All right. And then CJ, who do you got? Oh, okay. He's busy right now. But yeah, I think he has Wichita State, but I'm not 100% positive. They did just play, and then Cincinnati did beat Wichita State last time they played.
Yeah, I picked the corn people.
You picked Wichita State. Okay, so we got two Cincinnati's and a Wichita State for the American Athletic Conference.
Yeah, I think Cincinnati will just run this tournament. I think.
Yeah. I think they'll get through everything pretty easily. Then the Wichita State, I think, is going to be a close game.
Yeah, I can't wait for that game. That would be a good one.
All right, so about halfway through, I wanted to bring up something. We didn't pick this, but what's the conference? The WCC. That's it. It's not St. Mary's versus Gonzaga for the first time in a while. BYU is playing Gonzaga.
Oh God!
I want to know if you guys were who are you guys picking with BYU versus Gonzaga? And they also play tonight at 9.
I'm gonna pick Gonzaga. There's no way you pick against Gonzaga.
Yeah, Gonzaga is just a freak at basketball. So
and they looked really good last night playing some irrelevant team. I forgot, but they looked really good.
That's why they're so good.
I have them winning too. Yeah. All right, so now we have the Pac-12, and I actually didn't watch a lot of Pac-12 men's basketball, so I did a ton of not a ton, but I did some research, and I made some tough decisions. This was probably one of the hardest brackets I had to make. So to start out, it's Colorado versus Arizona State. I have Arizona State winning that versus Colorado.
I have Colorado actually winning that.
Yeah, this is what I guess you could say my blind bracket, the one I just kind of just straight up picked. So I have Colorado.
Okay, gotcha. So this is gonna actually be really big eventually because I have Arizona State going extremely deep in this tournament, and then CJ went Colorado. So my bracket could be busted big time on this one before it even starts. Okay, so now we have Stanford versus Cal. I picked Stanford for this one. I don't really believe in either team fully, but I have Stanford.
Yeah, I believe in Stanford, and I believe that they'll go pretty far in this. So
okay. So we all want Stanford.
Pure off of seeding, I got Stanford.
Gotcha. Then Washington, Oregon State. I have Washington winning. Yeah, Washington winning this one.
I have Washington as well. I've seen a couple Washington games, and they've looked decent. Not like All-American team, but I think they'll do pretty good.
All right.
Yeah, and just like you said about Arizona State making a run, wait till you hear my Washington run.
Okay, yeah.
Pretty
when I first made this bracket, I picked Oregon State to go really far because I was like, oh, they're super hot. And then I realized it's Oklahoma State who's been winning everything, not Oregon State. So I had to make a little correction. I get confused with those two teams so often. All right, so Where are we at now? Okay, Oregon, Washington State. What the? I just realized that it's the complete opposite.
Yep.
It's Washington, Oregon State, and then Oregon, Washington State.
They play each other's
states. That's weird. I have Oregon in that game.
I also have Oregon.
I have Oregon as well.
All right, and then so now we're moving on. I have Arizona State versus Arizona. Now Arizona is a team where they got DeAndre Ayton. They have a good coach in Sean Miller. They have like really talented NBA players. Ayton may be a first round pick, so like there's no reason they shouldn't run through this tournament. And I picked Arizona State to beat them. Just because Arizona State has everything to play for, they still have to win this game to make the tournament. But this is a team that's also been able to beat North Carolina and Duke. They can beat anybody in the country, but they could also lose to anybody in the country. They're all over the place. I'm just kind of hoping that they start playing their best basketball and then they get the upset.
Mm-hmm. I have Colorado, Arizona in this one, and I have Arizona winning very comfortably. I don't think Colorado can handle their.
Well, your Arizona State fantasy have them going far. I think while Arizona is already an attorney, they'll just shut down whoever they play against.
Yeah, there's an argument to be made that even though Arizona has already an attorney, basically already almost locked up a 1 seed, they've had the whole controversy with the players and stuff and the coaches, and that's actually an organization where they like adamantly denied it. So they really do. They're saying that they weren't involved with any of this at all, and they're being falsely accused. And they're kind of like the poster child for this right now. Like there's a lot of heat on them, and so they are kind of playing with that chips on their shoulders. So they may be trying to prove something in this tournament. So I could definitely see them playing motivated because of that. Next, I have Stanford versus UCLA. I have UCLA picking up the win against Stanford. That was a tough one, but I feel like whoever wins is going to lose next round, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I have Stanford, UCLA, and I actually have Stanford upsetting UCLA.
Okay, so Stanford making a little run.
I just feel that Stanford will come to play and play very well, and I actually upset them.
All right.
Nah, I got UCLA.
You have UCLA. All right.
No reasoning.
No reason. I feel that. I mean, mine was basically no reasoning. I was just kind of like, I don't know. This is flip a coin on this one. So next we have Washington versus USC. I have USC winning that one. They've been all over the place, kind of like their football team this year in basketball.
Mm-hmm. I have Washington, USC as well, and I also have USC winning. It's just a higher seed. They've looked really good. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
And for my Washington USC game, I got Washington upsetting number 2 USC.
So we got me with the Arizona State run. Hunter has the Stanford run, right? And then CJ has the Washington run.
Hunter had the South Carolina run in the SEC.
He did have the South Carolina run too, which I could honestly see that happening. Like shocking the world.
South Carolina play, and they've looked very good. The games that I've seen them play.
Yeah, they've lost a lot of tight ones. So they definitely. I don't think it's super crazy. And then Oregon versus Utah. I have Utah. I feel like this is one of the most like under talked about teams in the country. Like they really turned their program around from last year, and they're not great, but I like them to beat Oregon.
Yeah, I have Utah over Oregon as well. I just feel nobody talks about Utah, and then nobody talked about like Rhode Island and all that last year, and then look what they did. They actually did pretty good. So I'm like, hey, under people that we don't hear about every day, why not?
Exactly.
Yeah, and then I have Utah over Oregon.
All right, so we all got Utah. So now I have Arizona State versus UCLA. I have Arizona State winning that and getting to the Pac-12 championship. I know this is crazy, but
wow,
I ran with a little bit of madness in March. What do you have, Hunter?
I have Arizona and Stanford, and I have Arizona beating Stanford. I just don't think Stanford, even though coming off a hot streak, coming off that upset, I don't think they'll be able to beat number 1 Arizona. I don't think that they'll keep up.
All right. CJ?
I also think no one stops Arizona. They beat UCLA pretty good. Nice little victory.
Arizona's a solid team and the chip on their shoulder. I can definitely see them running away with it and ruining the bracket. So now I have USC versus Utah, and then I have Utah actually pulling out another win, getting the championship. I like this team. There's not like a set reason, like statistically or anything. I like this team. I like their grit.
I have USC and Utah, and I have USC winning. I just think USC will play phenomenal. Not very little turnover basketball game, and win by a pretty good cushion.
Yeah, USC can actually play some really solid basketball at times.
Mm-hmm. And when they play really solid basketball, they can be unstoppable.
Exactly. Yeah, they can make a run for sure.
And then I have Utah making the championship against Arizona. They beat Washington. Rest in peace.
The run is over. All right, so for the championship, I have Arizona State versus Utah, and Arizona State's magical run comes to a close, and Utah is the Pac-12 champions. I never thought I'd be saying those words, to be honest.
Yeah, I have Arizona USC, and I have Arizona winning a tight one. I have them winning a buzzer beater shot.
Okay.
To be Pac-12 champs.
So the first time they've struggled, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They'll come off these like sluggish games. They'll play really good against these no-name teams. Come out, struggle, turnover, a bunch of turnovers, and they'll just come out to get their head out of their ass and win the game.
All right.
And I feel like Arizona's going to run a train through Utah. They're going to. This is a statement game. While they have teams pretty good, this is their 15-point win in the championship game to get them the 1 seed.
So yeah, I feel like that's definitely a possibility. They just absolutely obliterate everyone in their path. This is also like, well, I did a bunch of research last minute for this bracket. It's probably my ballsiest bracket I made. There's a lot. This could go very, very poorly, especially with the Arizona State run.
Yeah, the Arizona State, they lose tomorrow night. It's over.
That's the thing. They can lose right off the bat. The chances of them losing tomorrow at 12
is very high.
Yeah, it's up there. I would not even be surprised they lost first round, and that would be a bummer.
Your Pac-12 bracket could just go down the toilet and literally.
I'm either going to seem like a genius or an idiot, and no one.
Your bracket will end in literally like 60 minutes.
I hope not. And I think that Arizona State Arizona game is going to be, if they get past Colorado, I feel like that's going to be a very entertaining game. I'm actually super excited for that. Up is the Big East. My second favorite team is actually Seton Hall. And so I actually do watch a lot of Big East basketball. And I actually haven't even finalized my bracket. I just realized that now. So
cheater.
Well,
Notre Dame's up.
The games start tomorrow, so technically it's not cheating. All right, so the first game is St. John's versus Georgetown. Now this is something that I struggled with. Like, I didn't really know who to pick. I ended up going with St. John's, though, over Georgetown. I just kind of went with it.
Yeah, I have Georgetown over St. John's. I just think Georgetown, this is a really close matchup. I've watched both of these teams in previous years, and they played really good. But I just think Georgetown will come out and win by, I would say they win by like 5. I say it's a close one.
Oh shit! Camera fell. No, but I went with Georgetown because while St. John's did beat they beat Nova off a buzzer beater, or was it Xavier?
They beat Nova at the buzzer beater. They beat North Carolina. They beat a bunch of teams. They were the upset kings.
Yeah, the upset gods. But
they really won a lot of games. I think earlier in the stream I accidentally messed up them and St. Joe's. My fault. St. John's, St. Joe's, my fault. St. John's is the team that has a losing record, but beat a ton of number one. They're the number one team killers. They can beat anybody in the country if they play good basketball, but they're also very inconsistent. So
yeah, and Georgetown is usually a high. This is like one of the lesser seasons, I guess you could say.
Yeah. This is a down year for Georgetown.
So I went with Georgetown.
Yeah, definitely not Georgetown's best season they've had in recent memory. And then we have the 10th seed DePaul versus number 7 Marquette. I have Marquette winning this game. Not overly impressed with either one of these teams. I just have Marquette winning that one. I feel like it's two of the most mediocre teams in this conference. I'm not impressed with either of them, but
yeah, I have Marquette winning over DePaul. It's just I don't know enough about DePaul and their depth and their lineup. I just don't know a whole bunch about them, and I've just seen Marquette play, and I'm just not impressed with what I've seen them do better. It's just I just have Marquette winning.
Yeah, Marquette made the tourney last year, so I have some faith in them.
Yeah, they did. Okay, so now I have St. John's, fresh off their win against Georgetown versus Xavier, and I have Xavier winning this game by a lot. I'm about to do a Xavier rant, but I'm gonna save it for the next round picks.
I have Xavier winning by a very large cushion over Georgetown.
Yeah, I'll second that. Xavier's gonna blow the doors off of Georgetown.
It's just when they come to play, it's just they're unstoppable.
Yeah, Xavier's a really solid team. I really like them. Okay, so next we have Providence versus Creighton. Providence, they're not as good as in years past, in my opinion. And so I have Creighton beating them. Neither one of the team has been overly impressive this year. The Big East has had deeper years. I feel like there's a decent drop-off in skill among the top 3 to the rest of the conference.
Yeah, I also have Creighton over Providence. It's just Creighton. It's just I've seen a little bit of them play. I know what they can do, and then Providence, I just don't really know a lot about. So I think Creighton would just win pure off of skill in this game.
Nah, I'm gonna go differently again. I got Providence over Creighton because while Creighton is the higher seed, I just feeling a Providence upset.
Okay, so you got Providence over that. Okay, that's interesting. The next game is I have Marquette versus Villanova, and then Villanova winning handedly.
Same. I have Nova winning comfortably over Marquette.
Yeah, it's gonna be much like the Xavier Grovetown game. Nova's gonna do what they need to do to win this game big, for sure.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with Nova and the fact that they've just they've returned Jalen Brunson, their coach. What's his name? I can't think of his name, but I love their coach and their tournament team, and he's bred success there, and they have a culture of winning, and they're gonna be a tough out in this tournament for sure, and the NCAA tournament as they have been for the last couple of years. So now we have Butler Seton Hall. Okay, this one is this was probably my toughest game I had to make the decision. I feel like whoever wins this number 6 versus number 2 seed, right down here, I feel like whoever wins this game is basically a lock for the championship. But I couldn't decide who to pick because Butler has a new coach in Laval Jordan. He actually was an assistant at Michigan and like a great defensive mind. He was really good. And Butler is honestly a very underrated team, and they also need a win against Seton Hall to help with seeding / getting into the tournament. They're not 100% lock, but they are a very solid team, and I feel like they can beat anybody in this conference. They could honestly make a run and win the whole tournament, and I wouldn't be surprised. With that being said, Seton Hall has struggled and been all over the place, but I have watched every single game Seton Hall has had this year, and they had that little losing streak. But I just feel like with the firepower they have Kadeen Carrington, Angel Delgado, players like that. They'll get it through. They're veteran players. They've been through a lot of tournaments, and they also do very well in the Big East tournament. Not so much in the NCAA tournament, but in their conference tournament, they definitely do make a lot of runs. And so I just went with the experience over that Butler team.
I also went Seton Hall over Butler, but Seton Hall, this is hard. Seton Hall let me down last year in the tournament.
They really did. They let me down big too. I believed in them heavy.
I believe that they would have went close to all the way. I was sad, but I believe Seton Hall could beat anybody that they play. Their experience, their depth, their playmakers, it's just they're phenomenal when they're on their time and when they're on their prime. It's a very good basketball team, and I believe that they will beat Butler. And I say they will beat Butler by a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, just give me Seton Hall. I debated on Butler for a little bit, and then I kind of looked at them like game-wise, who they beat and who they lost to.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not the prettiest team. I mean, you're right, though. Butler has a good tournament history of upsets and wins and just general being good. But I think you got to give it to Seton Hall.
Yeah, so that was a tough one for me, too. So we all went Seton Hall with that. Okay. So now I have Xavier versus Creighton in the semifinals. And I have Xavier winning that one handedly. I'll save my Xavier rant for one more round.
All right. I have Xavier Creighton, and I have Xavier winning very comfortably. Like, I don't think Creighton will keep up.
Okay.
I just got Xavier. Providence or Creighton, whoever wins that game is not winning the round, like the semifinal round. No way.
Exactly, yeah. That's why I didn't put too much thought into that. I figured whoever won was screwed against Xavier. And then I have Villanova versus Seton Hall. I feel like this matchup always occurs in the semifinals every year, and it's always a good one. I don't know if you guys caught it, but the last time Villanova and Seton Hall played, it was actually a really, really intense game, close game. Villanova went up by 7 with about 30 seconds left. It looked out of reach. Seton Hall marched their way back. They then had 3 calls in a row that were 50-50 calls that all went Villanova's way. And that's the only reason they won, is because all 3 of the 50-50 calls went Villanova's way. I say Seton Hall gets vengeance on Villanova for that last win. They definitely have the ability to beat them. And they've done it in the Big East tournament plenty of times before. That doesn't discredit Villanova to do things in the actual NCAA tournament or that they're a bad team. It's just Seton Hall is a really tough out, especially in the Big East tournament. So I have them advancing to the championship.
I have Seton Hall beating Villanova and getting their vengeance back. I just think Seton Hall will come out to play. They will come out with that fire in their heart, ready to win and try to win.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a rivalry there.
Yeah, it's just a little rivalry. I think they will win.
I'm going opposite of you guys again. I'm taking Nova for Seton Hall.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think Nova's like Arizona. They're going to get it done when they need to get it done, and they're going to play for that 1 seed.
I feel that. And with their recent struggles, they could definitely make a push. That was a tough one for me to pick. Wow. Okay, so now I have the championship game, which is Xavier versus Seton Hall. I'm about to do my Xavier rant. Honestly, Xavier is the #1 most underrated team in the country. They have Trayvon Blewett and Makura, which is their point guard. These are 2 guys who have felt like they've been here for like 15 plus years, but they're both seniors. So much experience is on this team. They have a solid coach, very good defense. I feel like this team could honestly make the Final Four. It's a really solid team. It's a team that with these 2 players definitely had a chance to go far 2 years ago and last year. I'm not sure which year it was. One year they got upset by Wisconsin, and then 2 years ago they got upset with Wisconsin, and that was definitely a time where I thought they were going to be a Elite 8 Final Four team. They were definitely good enough to. Then last year I thought maybe a Sweet 16 team. They could have beat anybody in the country last year too, I thought. And then they ended up losing. They ended up beating Maryland. I ended up picking Maryland for some reason, and then they lost in the other round. This is a team that's kind of flown under the radar because of their underwhelming tournament records. But you have so much experience and a great coach on this staff, and they've been through it the last couple of years. They've done absolutely nothing in the Big East tournament, and I think they have a chip on their shoulder because of that. It's definitely the most underrated team in the country. I don't know why nobody's talking about the Xavier team with all that experience and those playmakers. I mean, you're talking about a team where they could go on huge scoring droughts and have Trayvon Blewett score 20, 30, 40 points and completely carry this team on their back. They have a player that's so good that everybody else on the team can play like absolute shit, and they'll still pick up victories just on him playing well. And in crunch time, in big games, Trayvon Blue definitely does play good. And he's been in a lot of situations, and he's very comfortable in them. So Xavier is an extremely good team. I have them beating Seton Hall in the championship.
Yeah, it hurts me to do this to Seton Hall, but
Yeah.
I have Xavier winning. I have Xavier winning actually by a buzzer beater from Blue.
Close one.
I actually Blue would carry this team on their back for all the turnovers that will happen in that game. It will be a very sloppy game for both sides of the ball, but I think Xavier will win buzzer beater over Seton Hall.
So what I'm hearing is both of you guys are going to carry Xavier pretty far in this actual March Madness tournament.
Yeah, I'm big on Xavier. Obviously it depends on like who they get, what their seed is, and who they end up playing. But if they get the right type of thing, I see them as a Final Four team this year.
Yeah, I think this is going to hurt you a little bit because I got Nova upsetting Xavier.
Okay.
Ooh.
And this will give Nova another 1 seed, back-to-back years being a 1 seed, and Xavier will be like a 2 or a 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Xavier's definitely got a lot to play for. That championship, a Nova Xavier championship with that 1 seed on the line would be really entertaining. But yeah, I really like Xavier to go far in this tournament. Obviously, depending on who they have to play, but I see them going far. Okay, and then that wraps it up except for the A10, right? We did everything else?
Yes.
All right, so this is CJ's conference. He's a Rhode Island fan, as you can see by the hat right now.
And the shirt.
I didn't notice the shirt before. He's repping full out Rhode Island. I know absolutely nothing about this conference. I know that Rhode Island is good, and I know that St. Bonaventure is good in terms of the A10. Not really great nationally, but solid team. And that's about it. So in the first round, it's LaSalle versus Massachusetts. I have Massachusetts winning. No reason.
Yeah, I have UMass winning that as well, even though I don't have my bracket in front of me right now. So
I have Hunter's bracket with me. So
not purely because LaSalle is the higher seed, but LaSalle gave URI a pretty good run in URI. It was I think it was like 79 to 82. They played their asses off, and UMass has just kind of been average.
Yep.
So I'll give LaSalle the first game.
Gotcha. And the next game is George Washington versus Fordham. I have George Washington winning that game. Hunter has the upset. He has Fordham winning. And beat
just
seed.
I believe one of the low seed teams in that division. Since I know very little of that division, I think one of the low seeds will upset one of the bigger seeds.
Okay, CJ seems very.
Fordham's gonna get the doors blown off them. They are so bad.
Oh, are they really? They are the last seed in the tournament, so they have the
awful.
Okay, so
George Washington is also having a down year. They're usually like a 5 or 6 in this tournament every year.
Okay.
But still, Fordham is just no way. If they win this game, I'm gonna look like an idiot. But there's no way.
You look like an idiot. Now look like a fucking god.
So very against the Fordham upset. All right, so now moving on, it's VCU versus Dayton, and I have VCU. Wait, no, that's Hunter. Hunter has VCU beating Dayton, and then I have Dayton beating VCU for 2 reasons. 1, Steph Curry Dayton, success. Number 2, VCU, and I was so sick of hearing about them the last 3 years and their damn havoc defense BS that never turned out to be anything. Now they're not as good as they used to be, and I hate them, and I don't trust them with anything. Yeah, I'm picking Dayton for those 2 reasons.
I went with Hunter. I sided with VCU. I mean, I don't like either team. Both of these teams are good. Both of these teams have beaten URI in this regular season, and they've upset them in the tournament before. So I'm not big fans of either of them. But I feel like Dayton's having a really bad year.
Yeah, they are.
They were not great.
I do know this for some reason. Dayton has this one kid, and I don't know his name, but he's actually a legitimately good player, and he could have went anywhere in the country. And he literally said he went to Dayton because Steph Curry went there. And I found it so funny that I was watching a Dayton game, and the announcers were talking about it, and I just thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, that's not the smartest decision you can make, but
I hope that one guy just carries him over VCU. It's mainly a spite pick. I just really don't like VCU. We have George Mason, and I have Massachusetts. I have George Mason winning that game. Just much higher seed. That's why. And then Hunter has George Washington beating Massachusetts as well.
George Mason.
George Mason. Okay. St. Bonaventure versus Richmond. Wait, do we pick that game?
We're on Richmond and DeQuesney.
Yeah. I skipped those. Okay, my bad. We have Richmond DeQuesney. I can't even pronounce the team. That's why I don't trust them. I have Richmond winning that game, and so does.
Such a stupid name. I agree.
And then, so who do you have, CJ?
I have Richmond.
You have Richmond, and then St. Louis versus George Washington. I have St. Louis winning that game. Haven't seen either team play. And then Fordham's upset is ended by St. Louis in Hunter's bracket. So
rip Fordham, dude. Nah, but I got St. Louis, but I feel like this is another one of those games where George Washington, because they're usually better, and this is not their greater year. I feel like if they won this game, I won't be surprised.
Okay. So they have the ability to make a run.
Yes.
Okay. And then what's going on next? Rhode Island Dayton. Do we pick that one yet? I'm so confused.
Nope, that's what we are.
All right. So Rhode Island versus Dayton. Rhode Island, obviously, for me. And same with Hunter. I think we both agreed that it'd just be Rhode Island.
Well, Rhode Island has they lost their last two after winning the A10 tournament in the regular season.
Yeah, I watched those games. They struggled on that senior night game. I don't know what happened there.
We lost by 30
worst basketball
on senior night.
Yeah,
it was rough. But I feel like coach is gonna get shit together. And we're gonna talk. We're gonna practice. And I feel like Uriah is gonna come out and drop 90 on VCU in this opener.
All right, so very confident in Rhode Island.
God, I hope so.
After that, we have George Mason versus St. Joseph's. I have St. Joseph's winning that. And then Hunter has that too, and so does CJ, I think, right?
Nope. I got George Mason over St. Joseph's. Okay. Well, St. Joseph's is the one team that destroyed us on senior night. George Mason swept St. Joseph's in the regular season. Both pretty
I don't even know
victories.
Okay.
Yeah, I know absolutely.
So I'm gonna go George Mason.
So now what is next? We have St. Bonaventure versus Richmond. And I have St. Bonaventure winning it, based purely off CJ saying that St. Bonaventure is a solid team.
Yeah. St. Bonnie's is going to make the finals of their side, no doubt.
Gotcha. And then Hunter actually has Richmond beating St. Bonaventure. Another little upset there in the A10.
It's just, I don't know anything about this division. It's just
exactly.
Pure thinking about the team in the past. I know more about Richmond than St. Bonaventure, so I think Richmond will go pretty far.
Now I have St. Louis versus Davidson. I have Davidson winning again.
I got Davidson too.
All right. Now we have. Oh wait, and Hunter picked Davidson. My bad. So now in the semifinals, Rhode Island versus St. Joe's. I have Rhode Island winning, and then Hunter has Rhode Island beating St. Joe's as well. And then
I got URI.
Yep. So after that, we have St. Bonaventure's versus Davidson. For me, and I have St. Bonaventure's winning that. Again, off CJ's recommendation. Hunter has Richmond versus Davidson, and then Davidson beating Richmond to get into the championship game.
Yeah, I got St. Bonnie's. They're just definitely the only other real competitive team in the A10.
Okay. And then the championship, Rhode Island versus St. Bonaventure. I have Rhode Island winning it. Hunter has Rhode Island beating Davidson in the championship as well. So.
And I have URI, surprisingly, over St.
Oh,
Bonnie's.
okay. Yeah, you were pretty down on them earlier in the week, saying that you were going to pick
St. Bonnie's needs to win the tournament to get in. If not, it's purely just going to be URI from the A10.
Okay.
And, in the regular season, St. Bonnie's beat us twice, which is pretty rough. But
gotcha.
They need this game, so they're going to play good. But I feel like we'll take them out when we need to.
All right. Yeah. So basically, we actually do have a lot of variation in these brackets, which I was surprised about. I thought they were all going to be about the same. But we have some crazy things. Different people have crazy upsets in different brackets or whatever. But basically, yeah, we're going to do one more of these, at least one more when all the brackets are done. I was thinking about doing one on Friday, kind of sitting down and seeing how far we were heading into
when our brackets all gone to shit.
Yeah, exactly. See how we are in our semifinals. We'll update. Also, I'm going to ask CJ and Hunter if you guys are watching the games and your bracket is dependent on it and it's a close game and you feel like you're having an interesting reaction. If you guys send me a Snapchat video, I will take that and put it into our edited video so you can kind of see reactions.
Yeah.
And then this weekend, we should be able to watch some of these games together and you can get our reactions as we watch the game.
That'll be pretty lit.
Yeah, so this is kind of just like a warm-up for the actual NCAA tournament. No punishments or rewards or anything. But for the actual NCAA tournament, we have some punishments that we're thinking of. That one's going to be pretty intense. There's going to be a lot more people in it. We're also talking about putting money into it, so raise the stakes even more.
Shoot, what is it, like 10 people?
No, we were thinking like $3 each. We get like 15 people in there, so keep it cheap for everyone, but yeah, those are our picks. We'll see how they turn out. And I think that's it. Been fun, guys.
2018 March Madness champions.
Oh, early call for the national.
Ooh, it's calling it. Now they're going to lose first round because CJ.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, we'll lose to VCU now.
Yep.
I hope not. I hate VCU. All right, anything else you guys want to say before we end it?
No, that's really about it. Go Rams.
Go Rams. All right. Good luck to you guys. I hope I beat you.
Yep. Probably won't. But
probably not.
Your statistics haven't been well in the past year. So.
No. We're changing that this year, though. Maybe. Hopefully.
Maybe.
All right.
See you.